In 1962, Shelley Fabares had the #1 song in America. By 1999, she was on a waiting list to die. Doctors found her collapsed in a pool of blood. Her liver was failing from a disease that had been secretly destroying her for years.
I had a liver transplant and was, at one particular point.
She weighed 90 pounds and couldn't stay awake. For 22 months, she waited for an organ that might never come. Half the people on that list don't survive. The sweet girl from TV had become a medical miracle. Her final years revealed the price of childhood fame. Shelley Fabares was born on January 19, 1944, in Santa Monica, California, during the final months of World War II. Her mother, Elsa, had once been a dancer and still dreamed of Hollywood. Her father, James, worked in real estate. Times were hard, but Shelley's mother was determined to bring her daughter into the world of show business. When Shelley was just 2 years old, she started walking around film sets. She'd copy what she saw actors doing. That was when the dream began. In 1954, she was given an early dose of the Salk vaccine during a scary time when polio was spreading across America. Her mother had nearly lost her during pregnancy, stressed from her husband being away during the war. But Shelley survived, and that made her family believe she was meant for something big. Her aunt Nanette Fabares, who was already a working actress, would tell Shelley stories about stardom while babysitting her. Those stories stayed with her. When Shelley was only 3 years old, in 1947, her parents divorced. It wasn't a peaceful split. There were arguments over money and rumors of cheating. Her mother got custody, but only received $50 a month, which would be about $700 today. They had to move into small apartments all over Los Angeles. Shelley often remembered hiding under beds during fights and crying herself to sleep. Her mom, Elsa, worked several jobs just to survive, while Nanette helped out financially. In 1953, Nanette even brought Shelley to a movie set for The Bandwagon. By 1955, Shelley's father had disappeared and started a new family. He never came back into her life properly. That kind of abandonment stayed with her for years. In 1948, when Shelley was only 4, she began modeling. She posed for Sears catalogs and earned just $5 per shoot. It wasn't much, but every dollar helped. Her family had to move through 7 different apartments by 1952. They often had dinner made from just 1 can of soup. Shelley wore secondhand clothes, but she worked hard. By the time she was 6, she had already done 15 modeling jobs. One time in 1950, a photographer tried to overwork her, and her mother pulled her out to protect her. In 1951, they came close to being evicted. Nanette gave them $200 to keep them afloat. That same year, Shelley started auditioning for acting roles. Her big break came soon after. She went to Grant Elementary School in North Hollywood from 1949 to 1955. She had a slight lisp due to a childhood accident, and kids made fun of her. They called her Stutter Shelley. In 1952, one bully shoved her so hard she broke her arm. Shelley started joining drama classes after school. Her aunt encouraged her to perform. In 1954, she won a school talent show by performing a dramatic monologue. That moment made her feel strong for the first time. But the bullying continued. Some kids whispered that her family was strange because of the divorce. That isolation made Shelley dream of escaping into a new world, and that world was acting. By 1956, she had landed her first movie role. Behind the scenes, Shelley's home life was still difficult. Her mother had struggled with depression since the 1940s. After the divorce in 1947, it got worse. Shelley would sometimes hide during her mother's outbursts. In 1950, Elsa broke dishes and had to be hospitalized. In 1952, Shelley found her mother after a suicide attempt. Nanette kept it secret from everyone, even Shelley's younger siblings. Shelley carried that trauma into adulthood. Later, in 1988, Elsa was diagnosed with Alzheimer's. Shelley had to make the painful decision to put her mother in a care facility in 1990, when Elsa couldn't even remember her name. It was a lifetime of mental health pain passed down through the family. In 1954, when Shelley was just 10 years old, she appeared on television for the first time. She played Marie Schumann on an episode of The Loretta Young Show. Despite being new to acting, Shelley did a crying scene in one take, and everyone on set was amazed. Loretta Young even gave her a necklace as a gift. Shelley had already been rejected 20 times before getting that role. The days were long and tiring. Children weren't supposed to work more than 4 hours, but she often worked double that. Still, she loved the feeling of being on camera. In 1955, at age 11, she acted in the film The Girl Rush, starring Rosalind Russell and her Aunt Nanette. They filmed it in Las Vegas during a heat wave. Temperatures were over 100 degrees. Shelley fainted once from dehydration. She had no dance training, but she still performed a complicated tap number with professionals. She only earned $100 for the whole job, even though the movie made over $1 million. That year, she also acted in shows like Captain Midnight and Annie Oakley. But she remembered being teased about her height, only 4'10" at the time, and it made her feel self-conscious. Her breakthrough came in 1958 when she was 14. She got a major role in the Disney series Annette, alongside Annette Funicello. She played a snobby rival, and in one scene, she accidentally slapped Annette for real. Disney edited it out, but fined her $50. The show was hugely popular, with 10 million viewers each week. Shelley became a teen star. She and Annette became close friends in real life. The days were long, sometimes 16 hours, and tutors only gave them 3 hours of school per day. One episode mirrored real bullying Shelley had faced at school, and filming it brought back painful memories. Between 1954 and 1958, Shelley struggled to balance school and work. She went to Immaculate Heart High School for a few hours a day, but producers often kept her on set for up to 10 hours. In 1957 alone, she missed 45 school days. She had a high IQ but graduated with average grades because of poor tutoring. She was turned down for over 100 roles. Once in 1956, she lost a part because she was too tall at 5'4". That rejection gave her body image issues and a brief eating disorder. At age 13, a director made inappropriate comments to her, but Nanette stepped in and protected her. By 1959, at age 15, she signed a 7-year contract with Columbia Pictures for $10,000 per year. But it gave her little control. She worked long hours, including 18-hour days on the film Never Say Goodbye with Rock Hudson. He played her father and was kind to her, giving her acting books. But she earned just $300 for 20 days of work. The movie made over $1.6 million. It was her first experience with how unfair the business could be. Everything changed again in 1958 when she joined The Donna Reed Show as Mary Stone. She stayed on the show until 1963, filming around 163 episodes. The show was a hit, with up to 20 million people watching weekly. Shelley played the perfect daughter on TV, but in real life, she was shy and quiet. The workdays were long, often 12 hours, and she missed out on normal teenage life. In 1962, she recorded the song Johnny Angel, which became a #1 hit and sold over 1 million copies. One episode that aired in October 1959 caused a lot of talk. In it, her character babysat a child and dealt with tough choices. Some people thought it hinted at a teenage pregnancy, and over 500 parents complained to the network. Protesters even showed up at the studio. Shelley was only 16 at the time, and said later that it taught her how fast things could blow up in the media. Shelley and her co-star Paul Peterson, who played her brother, were close friends off camera. She even tutored him between scenes. In 1962, they both graduated from a studio school called University School, though they never went to a real campus. Their friendship lasted decades, but on July 15, 1960, one of the producers yelled at them on set over a broken prop. That day reminded Shelley how intense the pressure could be, even for teenagers. Shelley Fabares was just 18 when something unexpected changed her life. In February 1962, she released a song called Johnny Angel, and it exploded. Even though she once admitted she couldn't really sing,
the show's next season will have you and Paul each sing a song.
The song still reached #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 by April 7th and stayed there for 2 weeks. Over 1 million copies were sold. Shelley had recorded it back in late 1961 while she was still acting on The Donna Reed Show. She even lip-synced the song during one of the episodes, and fans loved it. Behind the scenes, she had help from some of the best musicians in the business, like Glenn Campbell on guitar and Carol Kay on bass, but no one expected it to become a teenage anthem.
Together we will sing our lovely.
The song also hit #1 in Canada and #41 in the UK. It made Shelley famous in a way that surprised even her. Later that same year, she released a follow-up called Johnny Loves Me. It continued the story, this time with the girl getting Johnny's love. The song didn't reach the same heights as the first one, but it still made it to #21 on the charts in the US. Shelley was still juggling her TV role while recording songs, and the pressure started to wear her down. Her voice got tired, but she pushed through anyway. That same year, she released her first full album, simply called Shelley. It came out in June 1962 and featured her hit song, plus other tracks she recorded during late-night sessions. She even did a duet with her co-star Paul Peterson. Some of the songs had a jazzy feel, which was unusual for a teen idol. Even though she was unsure of her voice, she gave it everything she had. But 1962 wasn't just about music. Her record label tried to make her even more famous by creating a fake romance between her and pop star Fabian Fort. They set up staged dates and photo ops to keep her in the headlines. Shelley never liked it. She was still a teenager and already feeling the weight of fame. All the rumors and gossip began to affect her personally. The whole thing left her feeling used, and it didn't help that Fabian himself had been built up in a similar way. It all became too much. By late 1962, her interest in music was starting to fade, and film offers started to pull her in a new direction. By 1963, everything had changed. The Beatles were taking over, and Shelley's songs weren't charting like they used to. One of her last notable singles was Ronnie, Call Me When You Get a Chance, which only made it to #16 in Canada. That summer, during a concert at the Hollywood Bowl, things turned scary. Thousands of screaming fans rushed the stage, and Shelley was nearly trampled. Security couldn't control the crowd. She had to be rushed off the stage. It was one of those moments that showed how dangerous teen fame could be. That performance marked the end of her music career. She decided to focus on acting again. In 1964, she appeared in a beach movie called Ride the Wild Surf, where she played a girl trying to convince a surfer to go back to school. They filmed it in Hawaii, and some of the waves reached 30 feet high. The film looked cheerful, but behind the scenes, it had unexpected moments. Some scenes between the surfers had a strange energy that later critics picked up on. Shelley had to dye her hair blonde for the role, and nearly got hurt during filming inside a wave tank that malfunctioned. In 1965, Shelley starred with Elvis Presley in Girl Happy. She played Valerie, a college girl caught up in a beach romance. The movie came out in April and made over $3 million. People began whispering about a possible real-life romance between her and Elvis because of how intense some of their scenes were. Shelley had just married music producer Lou Adler the year before, in 1964, but fans still speculated. Shelley later said Elvis was kind and respectful, but the rumors didn't go away. The following year, in 1966, she starred in Hold On with Herman's Hermits. During a fast-paced dance scene, her costume ripped. The accident was embarrassing and led to cruel comments about her body. It hurt her deeply and made her speak privately about the pressure women faced in Hollywood. That same year, she also appeared in Spin Out with Elvis again. In 1967, they did their third film together, Clambake. Shelley played a woman who started off chasing rich men, but eventually found real love. She had to learn go-go dancing for the role, which meant 12-hour rehearsals. The set was chaotic at times, with fans sneaking in and taking unauthorized photos. But Shelley said Elvis always tried to protect her. In 1968, she took on a much more serious role in A Time to Sing. It showed a darker side of fame and required her to dig deep emotionally. She even experienced anxiety attacks during filming and saw a therapist. The movie didn't make much money, but it showed she could handle dramatic roles too. That same year, Shelley's marriage to Lou Adler finally ended. They had separated years earlier, around 1966, but didn't officially divorce until December 1980. Shelley later said that rumors of Adler cheating with other famous women devastated her. It happened during a time when her career was still booming, and the emotional toll stayed with her. She never had children, something she rarely talked about. Some believed health issues may have played a role. After her divorce, she married actor Mike Farrell on December 31, 1984. He became her partner in every way. When Shelley had a serious accident in 1994, falling through the floor of her under-construction home and breaking her ribs, Mike was by her side. That accident uncovered something even worse. Tests showed Shelley had autoimmune hepatitis, and by 1999 her liver was failing. She nearly died from internal bleeding and spent 22 months waiting for a liver transplant. She finally received one on October 23, 2000. Mike cared for her through it all, helping her survive. During this time, Shelley kept working. From 1989 to 1997, she starred in the hit TV show Coach as Christine Armstrong. Her character was smart and strong, and the role won her 2 Emmy nominations. In one emotional episode from 1993, her character learns she can't have children. The scene was hard for Shelley to film because it mirrored her real life. Later, she moved into voice acting. From 1996 to 2000, she voiced Martha Kent, Superman's adoptive mother, in the animated series. It was a quiet but powerful role, and it came at a time when her health made on-screen work too difficult. She said voice work was a blessing because it let her keep acting while she was recovering. She returned one last time in the 2006 animated film Superman: Brainiac Attacks. That was her final acting role. She was 62. After that, she retired from acting and focused on producing and health advocacy. Her marriage to Mike Farrell lasted through it all, and by 2025, they had been together for 41 years. Shelley said he was her safe place, the one who helped her survive when everything else felt impossible. Though she never had children of her own, she became a stepmother to Mike's kids and poured her heart into raising awareness for organ donation and Alzheimer's after losing her mother in 1992. In 1994, Shelley Fabares was going through what should have been a normal day at home while some construction was being done. But then the floor beneath her gave way. She fell hard through broken floor joists and crashed down with such force that she shattered every rib on the left side of her body. She was rushed to the hospital, badly hurt and barely able to move. But something even more alarming was found during her recovery. Doctors noticed her liver enzymes were extremely high. At first, no one knew why. They treated her ribs, but her liver numbers stayed off the charts. Shelley, who was still working on the show Coach at age 50, quietly lived with this mystery for years, taking medication that helped but never truly solved the problem. That fall didn't just break her ribs, it uncovered a silent danger growing inside her. And the worst was yet to come. In early 1999, the nightmare became real. Shelley collapsed after a terrifying esophageal bleed that caused massive internal bleeding. She was rushed to Cedars-Sinai Medical Center. The doctors finally figured out what had been wrong all along. Shelley had autoimmune hepatitis. Her own immune system had been attacking her liver for years, and now her liver was failing. She was 55 years old when she heard the words that changed everything. She would die without a liver transplant. There were no other options. Her doctors, including Dr. John Veerling, warned her that another bleed could kill her instantly. That terrifying moment tied directly back to the warning signs from 1994. Shelley said she felt horribly sick all the time, too weak to function. She was added to the transplant list in April 1999, knowing that over half the people on that list don't survive long enough to get a new organ. The clock had started ticking. As the days turned into months, Shelley waited and waited. From April 1999 to October 2000, 22 months passed. During that time, she barely had the strength to move. She was 56, but she felt like someone decades older. She slept most of the time because her body simply couldn't stay awake. Sometimes she would wake up incredibly thirsty, but couldn't even walk to the kitchen for water. Every moment felt like she was on borrowed time. Her doctors kept reminding her how dangerous another bleed could be. She lived in fear. Even her pager added stress. False alarms from wrong numbers made her think an organ might be available, only for her hope to crash again. She and her husband, actor Mike Farrell, tried to stay calm, but inside, the emotional strain was unbearable. They both knew how many people die before a transplant ever comes. The days dragged on, filled with fear, exhaustion, and uncertainty. Then, on October 23, 2000, the call finally came. A liver was available. Shelley was rushed into surgery. The transplant saved her life, but it nearly killed her too. Right after the operation, her body was attacked by serious infections. She faced possible rejection of the new liver and other life-threatening complications. The doctors watched for every sign of failure. Her immune system was unstable. Her body was tired and fragile. Even though she had survived the surgery, she wasn't out of danger. Mike helped her with everything: bathing, eating, walking. The infections came close to taking her life again, and recovery took everything she had left. She had lived, but she had changed. The experience left a mark that would never fade. Years earlier, in 1992, Shelley had already faced another deep heartbreak. Her mother, Elsa, had passed away from Alzheimer's disease after battling it for 9 years. Elsa had once promised she would never live through such an illness, but when the time came, she had forgotten that promise. Shelley found those words written in her mother's things after her death. The pain of watching Elsa slip away piece by piece turned Shelley into an advocate. In fact, she had already become the national spokesperson for the Alzheimer's Association in 1988, even before her mother's death. She spoke to Congress 4 times between the late 1980s and early 1990s. She helped raise millions for research, opened an Alzheimer's Center at CSU Northridge in 2000, and kept fighting for caregivers and families like hers. Shelley often admitted she feared she might get the disease too, but she held on to hope that a cure was near. That work gave her a sense of purpose, something to hold on to while she grieved. In 1992, the same year her mother passed, Shelley released a documentary called Giving Care, Taking Care. It showed the painful truth of caring for someone with Alzheimer's. It included real stories of families dealing with the illness, including her own. She cried on camera as she spoke about her mother's decline. Other caregivers in the film shared their daily struggles, installing safety locks, choosing between work and care, feeling helpless. Shelley admitted that no matter how much she tried, it never felt like enough. The film showed how Alzheimer's turns everything upside down. Children became the parents. Everything changed. The documentary helped thousands understand they weren't alone, and it raised much-needed awareness across the country. After her transplant in 2000, Shelley didn't go silent. Instead, she used her story to push for more organ donation. She told people just how close she had come to dying. She spoke at events and told audiences that one organ donor could save or improve 50 lives. She explained the horrors of waiting, of constantly feeling weak, of never knowing if she'd live through the night. She talked about how over half the people on those lists don't make it. Her husband stood by her side at medical conferences. She called her donor a blessing and never stopped thanking them. By 2003, 3 years after her surgery, she was still speaking out and still trying to help others. Her work on Alzheimer's and organ donation blended into one larger mission: to fight for the people who couldn't fight for themselves. In the 2020s, Shelley surprised everyone with a new look. She dyed her hair a bright pink and styled it into a spiky, punk-inspired cut. It was bold and loud, and it shocked fans used to seeing her as the sweet girl from the Donna show. But this style meant something. It was a symbol, a sign that she had survived. She had trademarked the pink shades back in 1999, and now, at age 79, she wore it proudly. People saw her walking into Q&A sessions with her husband, sometimes wearing a Ziggy Stardust sweatshirt. She had retired from acting in 2006, but she hadn't stopped being herself. The hair, the attitude, the honesty, it all told a story of resilience. She had faced death and come back brighter. In 2025, Shelley is 81. She lives quietly in Los Angeles with Mike, her husband of more than 40 years. They got married on June 9, 1984, and through all the chaos of Hollywood, they stayed together. On July 26, 2025, they were seen walking hand in hand in a Burbank park. Shelley had pink streaks in her blonde hair and flashed a peace sign. Mike wore a hat that said, "Make America Normal Again." It was a rare moment for the cameras. Shelley looked frail, but her spirit still shined. That walk reminded fans of everything she had survived: the fall, the illness, the transplant, the infections, the advocacy, the heartbreak. And still, she walked. But just 1 year earlier, something terrifying happened again. In late 2024, Shelley suffered a minor stroke. She was 80. It happened suddenly, causing weakness and confusion. She was rushed to a private clinic and kept it quiet at first. But news of the incident came out in 2025 through IMDb and YouTube. Thankfully, she made a full recovery by early 2025. She credited Mike once again for being by her side and taking care of her. This was her first major health scare since the rib fractures back in 1998. But once more, she survived. And once more, she surprised everyone by walking out in public just months later, smiling and waving like nothing could bring her down. People who had loved her since the 1960s couldn't believe how much strength she still had. Every chapter of her life showed just how far someone could go when they refused to give up.